Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Investing Explained. Here's today's question. Wholesaling small residential properties is a very common strategy in the real estate investing space, specifically for new investors. But I read on your website that you're wholesaling large apartment buildings. How and why are you doing this?
Yeah, so there's properties that don't meet our buying criteria. They're either in C-class areas or in areas where we don't have the resources, or they're too small. They're still decent deals. They still meet our buying criteria. And there's still people out there who would buy them that are maybe just in a different place in their investment career than I am. And so even though doesn't meet my buying criteria, it's just because I'm looking for bigger stuff. I'm looking for easier stuff. But early on, man, I bought a bunch of C-class properties. I needed to build my balance sheet. I needed to build my portfolio in order to be able to qualify for larger loans. And so there's a lot of other people who are in that space and are looking to buy those types of buildings. And so, yeah, we come across those deals quite a bit, and we do wholesale smaller apartment buildings. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do it. You can wholesale it. You can actually take a fee on it. You can wholesale it and take equity. You can take wholesale and maybe do a hybrid of the two. I did a 24-unit apartment building that we wholesaled to somebody, and they paid us $40,000 wholesale fee on it. And then they needed help sponsoring the loan and raising some money. And they wanted us to kind of advise them and counsel them. So they actually ended up giving us 40% equity in the deal also. And we got a $40,000 wholesale fee. And we're pretty passive overall in the deal, other than just kind of hopping on a phone call once a week for 20 minutes and then putting our eyes on it a couple times a month to make sure that the needle's moving forward. So pretty good deal, right? So there's definitely opportunities there. The easiest stuff to wholesale is really the stuff under $1 million. Usually that's cash buyers. Once you get over $1 million apartment building, commercial property, then you're talking about getting financing and all that kind of stuff. And you can still do it. You'll just probably want to take more of an equity piece, or there's just a different way. You're not really going to sign the contract in that regard. You might have to sign some sort of consulting agreement or something like that to either take a fee or to take equity, or a JV agreement or something along those lines. Talk to your attorney in whatever state you're in. They'll tell you how to legally do it.
Yeah, taking equity in wholesale deals is interesting. It's not a strategy that I hear a lot of people talk about. I do read a lot about wholesaling on different social media platforms or just on the internet in general. I don't personally do any wholesaling, but I never hear people talk about taking equity in deals. I only hear just collecting that small fee that you get in the arbitrage between the prices. But the equity component, that's an interesting dynamic that I think could be interesting for wholesaling.
Yeah, man. I mean, hey, you're in the transactional rat race. Don't you want to get out of that, right? Not you, but I'm talking about people in general. Like, one of the ways to do that is, hey, if you're wholesaling some big deals, and you can cover your expenses and your lifestyle with what you're doing on the single family side, and you can wholesale this one apartment building. Why not take equity in it? As long as the buyer's cool with giving that to you, which I don't see why they wouldn't be. Saves them a bunch of money. And what does it do? Give a couple of percentage points of equity. And now you're building long-term wealth, right? Now you have somebody else operating a deal, which is amazing. And they know what they're doing. You can kind of ride their coattails, learn a little bit more about it while they're operating it. And while they're doing that, principal's being paid down on the loan, property's appreciating over time, it's cash flowing while you're talking about it. Maybe you're refinancing, taking a couple bucks off the table. That's how wealth is created, by buying assets and getting other people to pay for them.
Yeah, and that definitely goes back to the idea we talked about earlier of just having a small piece of a bigger pie, right? I mean, you might not be able to get a huge percentage when you do these wholesale deals, but if you do it enough times, those small percentages start to add up, and eventually you own 50 to 75%, maybe even 100% of an entire deal, just in terms of cumulative percentages that you've acquired over the years. Definitely an interesting dynamic that I haven't thought about when it comes to wholesaling, so I'm going to have to look into that a little bit more.
If you're a ninja at finding off-market deals, just go and wholesale it and take 3 to 5% equity in every single deal. And then all over time, guess what? You get these little annuities every month paying you from all these different deals. You did 20, 30 different deals, and some of them could be really, really big deals. Hundreds of units, thousands of units. And a small percentage of that is a lot of monthly cash flow. And so you can really build up a lot of net worth and a lot of wealth that way by wholesaling and taking equity. One of my early mentors said, millionaires and billionaires are made by equity and deals. So if you can, again, have the long-term mindset, don't make long-term decisions based on short-term shortfalls. I'd always rather have the equity in the deal versus the commission, right? The big check. And so I would always maybe sacrifice some things today in order to have a better tomorrow. Played out well for me.
That's all for this episode of Real Estate Investing Explained. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, or subscribe to our YouTube channel to get even more free content.